3. Hi, welcome back to NIBA Designs and our tutorial on our fibers. So the most basic of fibers that most people are aware of is wool, and I will still stand behind wool more than any other fiber if you were to ask me. It stood the test of time, it's easy to clean. If you think about the animals, they produce a lanolin. The lanolin keeps them warm, and that actual lanolin is what self-cleans the rug. So hands down, best fiber to use. Of course, there are many different types of wools. We've gone through some of our more exotic or luxury wools, but I'm going to talk to you about your basic wools today, because almost all of the rugs that we receive orders on do have some percentage of regular wool. So the first wool I'm going to talk to you about is the Himalayan wool, and I'm going to get to the picture of the Himalayan wool here. I also just want to show you here, this is what the final product looks like. But you can see here in this little close-up picture, Himalayan wool never gets really white. You have to understand that these animals live in very, very high altitudes, and so therefore their wool, tends to get gnarly, and in fact will range in color anywhere from black all the way down to cream, never white. White does not exist in a wool. Neither will we bleach wool, because you will basically strip it of all of the purities that it has, such as the cleanability and the lanolin. This is an example of Himalayan wool. Himalayan wool is known for its sort of textured look, its non-uniform look, which we happen to love at NIBA, and it just has life. It doesn't look dull. So this is Himalayan wool 100%. We also sell wool from India, hence the picture here where you're seeing some different ones. And in our Indian wool, Indian sheep tend to produce a shorter yarn. They're not living in as cold climates, and so their hair tends to be a little bit shorter. So what we do at NIBA is we blend it with New Zealand wool, which, as you probably saw from the previous page, are these big fluffy white guys. And these guys probably have, these do produce the whitest wool, and they also produce the longest fiber. So when buying a rug from NIBA, if it's hand tufted, it's always going to be New Zealand wool, because we have to have the length and the elasticity to do the hand tufting gut. We also use it if you're wanting pure white. And then the third reason we use it is we use it when we are developing our Persian product, as shown here. So you have the lovely texture that you get from the Indian wool, but again, you have the length and the elasticity of the New Zealand wool for the construction of it. So if you like that really antiqued look, this is going to be your best bet for that, is probably doing something in Persian and specifically in Indian wool. And here's another example of it in plain, just so that you can see how it plays out in pattern versus playing out in just plain wool. I'm sure as designers you can imagine that the reason that this is so highly recommended, I mean, in today's world, most of our clients are living in one room, open concept, dogs, kids, eating, everything. So what's great about having a rug with a lot of a brash and a lot of technique is it's going to be more forgiving for staining. And of course, wool is wool, so that is always really, really good too. So I highly recommend that. Something else that we've developed, which is sort of a crossbreed between a very elegant yarn and a more sort of rudimentary yarn, is what we would call a blend. So this is a wool and silk blend. And when I say a blend, I mean that we've taken 50% wool, we've taken 50% silk, and it's as though we put it into a mixing bowl, mixed it all up evenly, and then we wove it. So you just have this overall feeling of slight sheen, very understated elegance, sophistication. I love it. I actually love it more than silk, because I think number one, it's got the lanolin, and number two, it's a little less shiny. So this is a new fave with NIBA. We're also able to do one more thing. If you prefer, we can do what we call a tweed. Now, a tweed would be a one ply of wool and 1 ply of silk. So a yarn, as we all know it, has plies. It can be up to 2 or 3 plies. So in this case, we would use a ply of wool, a ply of silk. We would twist it together. That's how we'd make the yarn. And then when we would weave it, you would actually get a very sort of dippled effect, kind of like a salt and pepper effect, which is just, it's not to say it's better or worse than the blend, it's just a different look, if that's what you're looking to do. But again, wool will always be my all-time favorite for rugs. So whenever asked, I tell people always use wool.